Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I really know nothing about retail. That's why if you see the topic that I'm going to speak on has nothing to do really with retail. It talks about innovation in today's context. But the best part is that I would love to be in retail because I believe there's so much that can be done. It's not that nothing's being done, but there's so much opportunity, there's so much space. And there are so many insights that if all the retailers get together, I'm sure retail can be another flourishing industry in the country. But since the topic that I have chosen for myself is innovation in today's context, I'll just ask a few questions, we'll play a few games, just to get a few thoughts across the room, and then we'll leave it for some more serious work from the next speaker. What do you think has been the biggest innovation in the last couple of years? And please, we'd like to have some participation because otherwise it gets really boring. I do the talking, you do the listening, and then we'll all wait for a coffee break. So, what's the largest or biggest innovation in the last 2 years? Mobile, all right, mobile, great. Anybody else? Can we have some more hands, some more voices? I'm sure all of us know what the latest innovations are. Yes, sir. Design in retail, or retail by design. Whichever way you'd like to put it. Wonderful. Design in technology. All right. Yes, sir. That's one hell of a innovation.
Use and spread of bitcoins.
Use and?
Bitcoins, yeah.
China has said no, so I think the value has fallen by about 43%.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's actually Sunny Leone. She is a Hollywood actor, and now she's a Bollywood actress. So that's, for me, the biggest innovation that has happened in the last 2 years. But jokes apart, would you think that cloud is possibly the biggest innovation in the last couple of years? The cloud? Would people agree or tend to agree to that the cloud has been possibly the largest innovation? And that's actually innovation by subtraction. Because what is actually done is it's removed the hardware from your office and it's taken it up somewhere else. The only problem is if there is a cloud burst, then data might have a problem. But till then, we are all in safe hands. Okay, so now we'll play a small little game. Each table will need 2 sheets of paper. So each table can just have 2 sheets of papers. And I'm going to ask you to do 2 things. One, collectively write one number from 0 to 99. The group has to be in consensus about that number. It can't be that he or she said this number, but I didn't agree. So whoever's in a group, you got to write one number between 0 and 99. And I'd like everybody to participate, otherwise there's no fun in this. And one direction on another piece of paper, any direction. Of course, that's available on a compass. And one number between 0 and 99. And I'd love you to do it together. It's more fun that way. Otherwise, it's just an individual's number. 99, 25. 66, 13, 9. Sorry, you guys said 16, 13. Anyone not without a number? How many, did anybody write 4.3 or 3 upon 7 or 82.35? These are also numbers. See how our brains are wired. It's whole numbers. And if you see, there were 99 numbers and some 18 tables. And we had 1s and we had 13s and 66s and 99s. So you realize how important innovation is. Because our brains are wired in a particular manner. And we think only in that manner. And that's why we only have whole numbers and no fractions or decimals. Now we'll do the same thing with directions. East, northeast, north, north, west, east, sorry, only west, okay. Can you stand up, please? Thank you very much. Next table, the one shaking hands, please. What's your direction? Southeast, up. Can you please stand up? Up. You'll have to stand up, ma'am. I hope you guys have written up. Okay, Vikram, I see that. Behind you? Behind the up? North. west, east. Last table, north, south, west. Behind them, southeast. Anybody else left behind? See, up and down are also directions. So at least we have 4 people who've thought a little differently. And that's where I think innovation kind of steps in, you know. You can please have a seat, and thank you everybody. Please clap for yourselves. Now, innovation is not something that happens overnight. Innovation is a process, and there are multiple ways you have innovation. Now let's take a classic example of a retailer. If you're not a label selling only your product, like say for example a Prada or a Louis Vuitton or maybe the Savile Row suits, you are multi-stocking, multi-brands in your outlet. Typically, as I said, I'm not a retailer by choice or by profession, so I might be wrong in a few instances. Please do correct me. That gives me the opportunity to learn a little more. You will be basically having multi-stock on multi-brands in a single outlet. That's the way I think organized retail does work to a large extent. And you have multiple units in a single mall, or if you have a large shopping complex, selling exactly the same things at possibly the same price points if there is no promotion or discount or offers happening, or you buy 2, you get 1 free. So as a customer, when I am walking into a retail symposium where there are 100 shops selling the same branded stuff at the same possible price, with the same possible visual merchandising, why would I walk into one shop and not the other? I still haven't figured out why, maybe the one that's closest to me. But small things, if we listen to the customer, can give us an opportunity to innovate within the way we service our clients, innovate within what we do within the store that makes it a little more attractive, a little more enhancing for the customer experience. Like for example, when you get into a large mall, typically you walk a lot because you have one thing here and the other thing there, and you realize that in a large mall, in a span of an hour or so, you've walked more than maybe 2.5, 3 kilometers. And if one retail store is pretty large, you also do that. And since I guess that most of you all are retailers or connected to the retail industry at large, you would be understanding this, that your legs start aching after a while. We do not normally wear walking shoes when we go to a mall. Your legs start aching. How many of the retail stores that we own have sit-down areas where people can actually sit down, rest their legs, and move on? I don't know. I'm just asking because you are much more suited to answer that question than me. But in India, trust me, there are not many shops or stores or retail units that even come close to something like this. If your legs are tired, I got a duty to sell my products off the shelf. I really don't have a seat for you. So this is something which is fundamental in nature. It's just a customer insight for some of you all to dwell upon. If it makes sense, if it doesn't, just give it a pass. So there are lots many things, like for example, we know that the mobile device and the kind of smartphones that happen to us, which are GPS, GPRS enabled, actually gives a mobile service provider the exact location of where you are. And retail depends a lot on that. It depends on the time of the day. It possibly depends on the mood that you are in, but maybe your smartphone will not be able to capture the mood you are in. But definitely the time of the day and where you are is pretty much captured by a smartphone. And the mobile operators have this data with. How many, like say for example, I own a restaurant or I own a fast food joint in a large and busy shopping mall, and it's about 12:40 in the noon. And here I have an offer of the day. Advertising that offer of the day is going to make that offer of the day much more expensive if I do mass advertising. But I still wanted to call it the offer of the day and give somebody a chance to sample a cuisine at a much lower price point. But if I'm going to do mass media in terms of newspapers or radios or hoardings across the mall that I'm present in, it's going to increase my output cost. So the meal is not going to be as cheap as it could have been if I had done away with mass advertising. Now this is where I think the mobile device plays a huge role. The mobile operators in any part of the world will know exactly where you are at what time. So if a food chain who has a limited period offer between 12:40 and 2 on weekdays for women only can actually use the mobile service provider to pass on that message if you are in that mall, because the data is with the mobile service provider, At 12:40, you normally in this country are hungry, or tend to be hungry at about 12:45, 1 o'clock. And that's where your typical lunchtime is. So instead of advertising in the newspapers, if you use the mobile service provider, and there's a small little ticker that comes in your mobile saying that X and X restaurant has a great afternoon buffet at $2.99 only, and it's on the second floor from where you're standing. The possibility of people moving to your restaurant to sample that price point and sample your cuisine are much higher than when possibly at 8:30 in the morning when he's reading the newspaper where you've put in a pamphlet. So I think the opportunities here are large, and we need to start being a little more innovative in the way we position our products, the way we communicate our products, to whom we communicate about our products. And trust me, at Reliance we actually have an innovation cell. It is not something which is fly by night, something just happens and we realize, whoa, we've innovated. It's a process. For the first year, it took us about 14 months to introduce 5 innovative products. They did a healthy number and added to the bottom line. But it's a process. It's not going to happen suddenly. It's not going to happen overnight. There would be gray matter as well as green matter that needs to be invested. And by green, I do not mean Safe Express. I mean the dollar or the rupee, I mean whichever country you are. But trust me, if that's done, if a little bit of thought is provided to creating solutions which are more customer-centric, I'm sure that all of us listen to. I'll give you a very classic example. I think most of you have heard this. But there's this chain in India, and there's a store in our city mall in Ghatkopar for those who are familiar with Bombay. And there is a store which is, just like a lot of other stores, big-sized, multi-brand, multi-stocking outlets. And at the price where you actually pay, there's this gentleman who, actually ties up your bag and gives it to you. So you come at the counter with your products, you pay, and then the guy behind the cashier puts it in a bag and gives it to you.